What's going on YouTube? Enigma Garage is back and we are working on the MR2 today. Our adapter plate is just about finished up with all of our taps that we got in, cleaned it up, ready to go. We also are going to be working on some of the wiring today. I've got the Loofa Racing fuel pump, kind of test fitting that one over there. Well, housing. I have my own fuel pump. Got the back of the motor all cleaned up. We'll go over that. And the biggest hurdle was getting this stupid coolant tube out so I can cut the end of it off and rotate it so it's the other way so it's not hitting the exhaust manifold, because I'm ready to put everything together and put it back into the back of the car. So yeah, let's get to it. So I got all these off of Amazon. I got the two taps. One's a M10 by 125, the other one's a M12 by 125. The Kia bolts down here at the oil pan are M10 by 125. I did M12 125 up here for the where's that one bolt hole? I want to say it's this one up here at the corner, and also the M12 by 125 down here to hold on to the intermediate shaft plate. I wanted to make sure those were a lot bigger bolts to hold up. And going back down here, I did change out the rear main seal because I did not want to fight an oil leak. Words are hard, as always. And I did the seal also on the plate right here for the rear main. I do eventually need to take off the oil pan and check out the internals, because I want to say there was about 5,000 miles on this motor and I was pushing it to 12-ish pounds of boost. Just want to make sure everything's fine. I also have to make another oil drain. This one I'll just cap off with this right here, but since the turbo is going to be on this side of the motor now, I need to figure out where I'm going to put it. But back to the taps. These are really awesome. They just go right into here and they're spring loaded, and you can put it on a wrench, or like I did, my impact, and I power tap the holes to the adapter plate because that was going to take forever. I've power tapped before. I made sure to use lots of tapping fluid. Everything went fine, didn't break anything. One thing though, when you are power tapping with these, there is a little tiny metal, I guess, spring piece inside of here. If you go full bore with it, you will snap the little piece off. So yeah, I did that on that one. So I have to manually hold it while I'm tightening it down instead of it automatically seating in where it needs to go. So yeah, you can go about half throttle on the Milwaukee and it works just fine. I also went and got a 1.25 inch, I believe. Yep, 1.25 inch hole saw for the ends. Is it this side? I think so. For the ends of the shifter cables to go through the firewall. I don't know the actual name of it. I'm just gonna call it a firewall. From the factory, they're supposed to go up through here into two holes. Those holes aren't there, so I'm just gonna drill it. But first things first, we need to get this coolant tube cut. I'm gonna cut it right here past this mount and then rotate it to the other direction. So just 180 degrees out. And by the looks of this pipe, I almost want to say they use stainless from the factory. If this is 2003, there is no corrosion anywhere on this thing. I mean, a little bit from the welding wire in case they might have used the wrong welding wire, but that pipe looks impeccable. Even where it had a rusty bolt down here, everything looks fine. So let's get that cut off and turned and re-welded on with my 309 filler rod. We've got it all cleaned up now, and definitely doesn't feel as hard as stainless, so it might just be a mix of something, but it's all cleaned up. I just need to make the tack welds on there and then check it in the car, make sure the angle's fine, and weld her solid. You just can't plan some of this stuff like first try. First freaking try. That looks amazing. Come back here. Perfect angle. Exactly where I wanted it to be. Weld it up solid and put it back in the car. And she's welded up. Not my best welds ever. Not used to thin stuff. Doesn't help that my 309 is super thick. Probably should have used 045. That's 16th. Probably not helping the case at all, but this is to everybody that said the quick clamps, the way I welded them up and not use the nut on the backside, was a stupid idea, and I would warp the table. Told you so. Just light pressure. It's all I'm using it for. Take that, haters. But anyways, all right, time to get this back into the car once it cools down. This is the most amazing thing I've done. First try. So happy with that. Angle looks absolutely perfect. Up here. Yeah. So while I was down there buttoning everything up, I did run the power cable through there. I put it where the throttle cable was because I'm gonna go drive-by-wire anyways. So the throttle cable's laying out on the ground up here, disconnected, and it's run that way through all the little snaps. The only thing I need to figure out is where I'm going to mount all of this up on this side. I can always shorten it, so I did leave it a little long. I'll figure all that stuff out. I wish I had my air to water, and while it's up in the air, run all the lines underneath. So I should probably get that on the way, but on the next thing. I don't know if I went over this, but I had to make a spacer that was 8 millimeters thick. You can kind of see it right there, to space out the slave. It was about an 1/8 inch up from the top of the ears of the pressure plate, so that should put that right in line now to be like probably a millimeter too high for a little bit of air gap, and then once it's pushed forward it should be right on. Let's see, there it goes right there. So that should be nice and free floating and spinning at that point. It's all the way down, it is up against that seal. And all the lines are tight. I did put a little bit of Loctite on here just to be safe. That's tight. And we're ready for our hydraulic lines. I wish I had a hydraulic line now that I just thought about that, since the car's in the air. I need to get my air to water intercooler lines and a clutch line. And of course we have the bleed port. I might put an extension up so I can bleed it from like way at the top side of the car. Make life way easier there. So yeah, might get an extension for this side, and then I should probably get the mount too for this side. That way I can go into the factory location as a nice joint area. Yeah, probably should get that. Let me show you on the fuel pump stuff now. We did take the fuel tank out. You disconnect it here. There's a spot underneath the driver's side metal cap you have to disconnect. Then you got 2 lines right here to go up to the fuel neck area. I did have to take the rubber seal off of the old pump over here, which does look really grimy. Might need to buy another one of those. We'll see. We'll see if she leaks. And We have the old one here, which was completely rotted the hell out. So much corrosion. Yeah. But the Loofa Racing fuel hat system is really nice. The level sensor clips right into the side of their mount. The Walbro 450 sits right into a pocket perfectly. And we have our return that's going to come down. I got to zip tie it down to the side over here, but it's freaking amazing. Return's going to be 6 AN, so I did use his adapter. Feed is 8 AN. That's going to be going to the Honda rail. And then I do need to get a connector kit and fuel filter for this Walbro from Summit. And I got to figure out how I'm going to run these wires for the fuel level sensor, since the old one was through the old hat. Definitely got to figure this out. I'm assuming it's 5 volts ground and signal. I'll have to look that up on the Facebook page or on the forums, figure that out, and figure out a connector. I might buy another one of these connectors right here and run the wires on the back side over here. We'll figure that out. But I need to get these parts in. Loofa Racing does come with a spacer you have to use underneath here, or you're going to over tighten it, because this is a lot thicker than the factory one. So you have to space up the bolts. Even got a whole bunch of brand new bolts here. I do have the old ones just in case. And there is a little surge tank built in from the factory, so that's pretty cool. If I ever need to upgrade to twin 450s, I'm perplexed on how I would even do that, unless I put a T in here and then put a pump off to the side. I'm not sure. We'll see if I get to that power goal or not. If I need to upgrade, will be quite interesting. All right, enough with the fuel system. If you have any questions, let me know about that. Once I get the other stuff, we'll tighten it up all together in another video. Now, as much as I want to put the motor and transmission inside of the car today, I forgot to order some bolts. It's going to be much nicer. I do need to prep this surface a little bit again and get a better gasket here, because it did have a little bit of a blowout. That mesh gasket, I'm not a fan of those for anything with some power, but I need to get those studs out and get some bolts that have safety wire holes in them. So when all this is put on right here, we can just safety wire it onto the head and not have to worry about those bolts ever coming loose. You can torque them down, do whatever. And if I have to work on the bottom of the car, I just have to take 3 bolts off right here. I do need to get a plug here for the O2 bung that's not going to be used, because it's going to be coming out of the downpipe of the turbo over there. But yeah, I really need to safety wire those on before it goes in, because the manifold is literally like that close to the firewall. Which reminds me too, I need to get a insulating pad that goes here. I think it's stainless and some insulation material, whatever the heck it is, and I need to probably put it over this entire section right here, just to be sure. And I also need to figure out the thermostat. Oh, this isn't thermostat, this is just the cooling port right here. It used to go this way, right up here, pointed right there. So I need to figure out how I'm going to angle this to clear the manifold to come over and into the passenger side. Yeah, this is the passenger side. So it's going to be coming out right here. So I need to get it from here into here. I can either go up and over and down, but then I have to worry about an air bubble up here forming. Maybe could go down and around. That could be an idea. But then again, whenever this does come over here, I really don't have much clearance down here on the bottom side, and it's going to cook the heck out of that coolant. Yeah, if you have any ideas for that, let me know. I'm gonna just sit on it and think while I'm putting the rest of this car together. Yep, little things slow it down the big things. Now I think it's time we can start assembling things. So we have our cleaned up spacer here, our shim from the factory. Should just drop, yep, right into place. Perfect. And our nice cleaned up adapter plate should be able to drop right down over that one. And oh yeah, it's down all the way. There we go. I forgot I did trim that hole up a little bit. All right, we could take this off. Don't worry about covering that up anymore. And our, oh, I got some shim, or some shavings over here. Let me get these off real quick. Okay, we've got the shavings off of there. Get all of these started. And I can tighten all these down. That one's got a nut on that side. But I'll get these tightened down real quick and be right back. Sorry about that, the camera died. But we do have everything in, even the crank sensor. I did have to drill and tap the 10mm bolt hole here, which I think the threads is M8 by 125. And another problem, because that was the best place for the crank sensor to go to reach everything and have a nice flat space, it's where the motor mount is. Of course, it's my luck. So it is tilting right here. So I need to shim out this motor mount probably 1/8 of an inch on those two areas. And it shouldn't be an issue with the rear mount setup on the cross member. It should be fine, because if I remember right with the mount that I have over here, yeah, there's probably an 1/8 inch adjustment over in these bolt holes, so we should be fine there with that mount. Time to make some spacers for the engine mount, tip it back over, and get ready to put it in the car. And yes, I did have my ancient Haynes manual out. Sold. Alright, let's get to it. Actually, before that, we need to drill the holes for the shift cables on that back plane back there. So let's get the drill bit chucked up, and I'm going to look up some pictures online to see exactly where these cables mount to. Right here in the console area, and I'm going to pick out a good spot to drill the holes out. And just like that, the cables are in. So there are 2 bolts down here. That's where the cables mount to, right behind the e-brake. And of course I need to buy the locks for the actual shifter area. It needs to go in. Let's see if I can get that in there. There we go. So that needs to go back inside of there, which I guess I could have pulled the shifter, but yeah, everything's working fine. Bottom one has a clip you push up onto. I need to get a washer and a pin over here for this side to hold it in, and then the clips that go down and snap into place here to hold these in. But I did drill out 2 1/4-inch holes side by side, or not 1/4 inch, 1.25 inches. And I guess there's a grommet that's supposed to go in there. I'm not worried about that right now. So yeah, shifters are in, or shift cables are in. Now I need to, I guess, put the engine and transmission back into place. Ladies and gentlemen, the motor's in, hanging on 3 motor mounts. On the left side, one up front, and the right side is actually fully bolted up now. I also put the power cables on just to see if the motor will turn over. I guess I should have tried this beforehand. Is what if this adapter plate doesn't work? So yeah, let's pray for me, guys. Pray for me. Oh, it's turning over. Oh, thank God. Oh, yes. I need to finish putting it together, put some axles in this thing, and get it wired up now. Oh yeah. Catch you guys on the first start video. Actually, no, just kidding. I gotta wire up the car. I guess I'm gonna wire up the car. That'll be the next video. Catch you guys later.